Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be my episode 6 review of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The 6-week journey is over and my oh my, what a story. Episode 5 ended with Sam opening up that Wakandan briefcase and we didn't get to see the suit and we had to wait an entire 7 days just to get a glimpse of it. And I gotta say that was one of the best MCU entrances with a brand new suit by far. It was just so good. I had goosebumps, you know, he threw the shield in the most epic way possible through that window and then just stands up with that suit that's all red, white, and blue. It looked like it was literally ripped right out of the comic book and I absolutely love the new suit. So first let's talk about Sam in the finale. He finally accepts the role of Captain America and I just really loved how he grew into that role. He didn't just, become Captain America overnight. He actually had to become Captain America and not just decide to be him. And I think the character of Sam is definitely fit for the role of Captain America. He is just such an amazing character. His speech, man, at the end of the episode when he gave that speech to the GRC, man, I had goosebumps. I was like, wow, this is a really good speech. At first it did sound a little bit forced, but as he kept going, it definitely came off more natural. And it was a really moving speech. Like, I really enjoyed watching that. Sam also made sure that Isaiah Bradley got his own memorial in the museum. And this is awesome because it really shows the type of character that he is and how he really cares about the people around him. And this means a lot too because this means that Isaiah is officially out of hiding and he's a part of history. He's no longer erased. This scene got me pretty emotional because Isaiah started to cry and hug Sam, and it was just a really touching moment for the two characters. And it was a pretty big scene regarding perspective too because Isaiah Bradley was always really bitter towards America, and rightfully so. They did some pretty shady stuff to him, but after moments like this he kind of regains hope in the country and what it stands for, and I just really like that perspective shift. Another thing that's kind of controversial in this episode is bringing political views into it, but I definitely think they did it in a good way. Perspective and race is definitely a big topic nowadays, and I'm really glad that Marvel is actually allowing their writers to dive into this, and the way that they did this with Sam was done really well, especially because he was a military counselor and he's just a really empathetic character. So having a superhero in this position as Captain America being that empathetic is going to be a really interesting perspective and aspect to bring to the MCU, and I just love the whole Sam Wilson Captain America character, and I cannot wait to see him grow into that role even further. Now let's talk about Bucky because he can finally put his days as the Winter Soldier behind him. He crossed all of the names off in his book, and he had a really touching scene where he met up with Nakajima again and let him know that he was actually the person who murdered his son. It takes a lot of guts to do something like that, especially to someone that you've been kind of hanging out with before the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because he knows this is going to ruin their friendship. There's no way that Nakajima is just going to be like, oh, it's fine, let's just go get some sushi. So he sacrificed that friendship in order to tell the truth, and I gotta say, Sebastian Stan's acting in that scene in particular was so good. You could really sense the pain that he was feeling as he was telling Nakajima what actually happened, and I'm glad that Bucky finally gets the therapy that he needed. Like, this whole 6 episodes was basically a therapy session for him. He got to reunite with Sam and actually become friends with him. He also got to put the past behind him so that he can progress forward towards the future, and I'm pretty excited to see where this character goes of the Winter Soldier. It was also awesome that Bucky got to see Sam become Cap and actually choose to do so, which means that Steve was right about Sam and that he was also right about Bucky. Now, one negative that I do have with the whole character of Bucky Barnes is that they really powered him down since the Winter Soldier movie. Like, in that movie, he was so badass, he was so menacing, so strong. Like, this dude is a super soldier with a metal arm. This guy should be taking out people no problem, regardless if he's under mind control or not. And I'm not really sure why Marvel powered him down so much, but I'm really hoping that the next time we see Bucky, he is just tossing dudes left and right because of how powerful he is. And I just really hope they don't depower him again because I just love his character so much and I want to see him be that badass that he was in the past. Now on to John Walker. He shows up with his DIY Home Depot spray paint shield, and that thing lasts about one throw. It was honestly pretty sad to just see the shield that he'd probably spent hours making just, utterly destroyed from one kick from Carly. Something really interesting happened in this episode for John Walker specifically because he had the option to chase down the Flag Smashers or save a vehicle full of GRC members, and most of those individuals are responsible for stripping him of the title of Captain America. So I could totally understand if he chose, not to save them and actually go after the killers of his best friend Lamar. But instead he chose to save the people, which was actually a really interesting moment. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he somewhere in the middle? Probably. But it's kind of nice to know that he does still have, somewhat of a good side. Because in the comics, US Agent kind of flip-flops between like bad guy, good guy too, so I'm kind of glad they brought that theme over to the show. And speaking of the US Agent, we actually get a comic book accurate costume at the end of the episode. He gets the black suit and it looks identical to the US Agent from the Marvel Comics. And my guess is he painted the suit just like he did the shield. Home Depot always has deals, so he probably got like a bundle pack for all of the paint. And I just can't wait to see more of the US Agent. I don't know if they're going to make him like a villain or maybe he's going to be joining the Thunderbolts, but we will definitely be seeing him again and I cannot wait for that moment. Now on to the Flag Smashers, because I was kind of disappointed with what they had to do in the finale. They essentially infiltrated the GRC and kidnapped its leaders. Carly gets shot and killed by Sharon, and the rest of the members get blown up in a vehicle by Zemo's butler. That's pretty much it. They didn't really do too much. Like, sure, they fought some of the main characters, but it wasn't really like a super intense fight by any means. One thing that I didn't really like about the Flag Smashers was that when Carly gave the phone to Sam to contact him, the Flag Smasher app was actually downloaded onto that phone, and that's how Bucky and John Walker cornered some Flag Smashers and started to fight them. They tracked the Flag Smashers with their own app by a phone that their leader gave to the main characters. That just doesn't seem like a smart thing to do if you're trying to lead this organization. Like, why would you give the opposition a phone with access to your app where they can just track you? And then at the same time, why didn't they just use the phone earlier to track her? It was a weird moment in the episode, but I just kind of let it go past me and didn't try to think about it too much. The other thing that kind of bugged me a little bit was how Sam said that they weren't necessarily terrorists and that calling them that is just slapping a label on them. But I mean, they kind of were terrorists. Like, they blew up a building with innocent people in it. They were stealing. They weren't really listening to any laws whatsoever. And they didn't really care how many people they had to kill in order to get their point across. And they did some other shady stuff in the episode too, but I think, the magnitude of the stuff that they did definitely qualifies for terrorism. Like, you went to a government meeting, hijacked all of their leaders, and you didn't really care if you had to kill any or not. That sounds like terrorism to me, but I can kind of see what Sam meant by this whole thing. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the whole Flag Smasher story, especially in the final episode. I know they had like a whole plot point cut out with the whole, man-made virus thing, and that's why they were stealing vaccines, I think, in like the second or third episode. And I definitely think that story would have helped their story in particular a lot. But since that was cut out of the story, it kind of made things a little bit messy. I still think Marvel shouldn't have changed that aspect of the story because it would have made a lot more sense for the series. And yeah, I know it kind of reflects what's going on right now in the world, but people realize this is a TV show. And if anything, that would have made us even more engaged with the show because, what's going on in the show is actually happening in real life. For the most part, I don't want to get in the whole aspect of, conspiracy theory, man-made virus, all that stuff, but I definitely think that part of the story would have benefited the show for sure. Alright, now on to Sharon. Is she the power broker? If she actually is, then I think that was kind of too obvious. I still don't think she is officially the power broker. I think someone else is in the distance that will meet in a later Marvel project. Maybe it's the Kingpin, maybe it's the Mandarin, maybe it's the actual power broker from the comics, maybe it's someone totally different. It's gotta be someone else. I just don't think it's going to be Sharon. It was just too obvious and it wasn't even done in a big way. She just kind of like, yeah, I'm the power broker, and it wasn't like anything extravagant. Also, Zemo said that he knew the power broker and used the pronouns he, meaning that it was a guy, and this would have been years ago before the events of Civil War, because we know after Civil War he gets arrested, and the reason why Sharon is on the run is because of what she did in Civil War. So Zemo would have met this power broker before the events of Civil War, meaning that it probably is a guy, or this could all just be a writing mistake in the show, but I definitely don't think Sharon is the power broker. That's just my opinion. I just think there's someone else out there. And then at the end of the episode, she makes a mysterious phone call, which I think she was actually calling the real power broker, saying that there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that they have access to now that she's back in the States. Things like government secrets and prototype weapons. So I definitely think she's working for the power broker, and I'm guessing that will be revealed in an upcoming Marvel project, maybe in Armor Wars. But yeah, that's my opinion on the episode there, guys. I really love this show. The passing of Captain America's mantle was a great story to tell in about a 6-hour series, and I'm really glad that it wasn't just that scene in Endgame where Steve hands the shield to him. Some great characters were also brought into the show like Zemo, the Dora Milaje, the US Agent, Val, Isaiah Bradley, the Flag Smashers, Torres, and more. And this is going to set up so many things for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they really created something special with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or should I say Captain America and the Winter Soldier. They actually rebranded the show at the very end of the final episode, and that was just a nice little cherry on top, you know, after a satisfying finale. Also, before we wrap up, Captain America 4 was officially announced, and I am really excited to continue with Sam's story in the MCU. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought about the finale down below. Did you like this more than WandaVision? And what did you think about Sam's Captain America suit? Because I absolutely love it. Anyways, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.